Alright, let's move on to tactic 3, where I'll teach you the reverse close, a powerful framework to speed up decisions without pressuring your buyer. Alright, let's move into tactic 3, and this one's a game changer. It's called the reverse close, a strategy that turns buyers' objections into commitments and moves the deal forward. Here's the truth. Objections are where most sales reps lose control of the deal. A buyer says something like, "We're not ready yet," or "This feels expensive," and the rep freezes, or worse, starts pushing back in a way that feels defensive. Here's what you need to understand. Objections are not deal killers. In fact, they're signals of interest. If someone is objecting, it means they're engaged. They're just unsure about something. The best closers know how to use objections to reframe the buyer's decisions, and that's exactly what the reverse close does. Instead of fighting the objection, you use it in an opportunity to clarify the buyer's thinking and guide them back to why they need this solution in the first place. Let's break this down step by step. Step 1. Acknowledge and disarm the objection. The first step is to acknowledge and disarm the objection. Most sales reps make one of two mistakes when they hear an objection. 1. They get defensive and try to argue. 2. They back down completely and lose control of the conversation. Instead, you need to validate the buyer's concern and show empathy. Here's an example. Buyer, "This feels too expensive." You, "I completely get that. This is an important investment, and you need to be sure it's the right one." By acknowledging the objection, you're doing two things. One, you're lowering their guard. Buyers expect you to push back, so when you don't, they relax. Two, you're building trust. You're showing that you understand their hesitation and you're here to help, not to pressure them. Step 2, flip the objection into a question. Now that you've disarmed the objection, you're going to flip it into a question. This is the secret sauce of the reverse close because it puts the focus back on the buyer and forces them to clarify their concern. Here's how it works. Example 1. Buyer, "We're not sure if it's worth the investment." You, "I hear you. ROI is a big deal. What results would you need to see to feel comfortable about this investment?" Example 2. Buyer, "We're not ready to make this decision yet." You, "Got it. Timing is important. What do you need to happen for you to feel ready?" Notice what is happening here. By flipping the objection into a question, you're putting the buyer in a position to clarify their own thinking. 9 times out of 10, as they talk through it, they'll start to reaffirm why they need to move forward. For example, if a buyer says, "We're not sure if this is the right time," and you ask, "What would make this the right time?" they might say something like, "Well, we really need to hit our Q3 targets." Boom. Now you know exactly what's holding them back, and you can tie your solution to their priority. Step 3. Reaffirm the value and next steps. Once the buyer has clarified their concern, it's your job to guide them back to the value of your solution and show them how it aligns with what they care about the most. Here's the framework you're going to use. From what you shared, restate their concern is important to you. That's exactly why this solution is a great fit, because it helps you solve their problem or achieve their goal. Then tie it to a clear next step. Here's an example. Buyer, "We're not sure if this will give us the results we need." You, "Totally fair. Results matter. From what you told me earlier, increasing your team's productivity by 20% is a top priority, right? This solution is built specifically to deliver that, and we've seen it happen time and time again. Here's what I recommend. Let's get you started with the first step and measure the results together. Does that work for you?" Notice how I'm bringing it back to their goals and positioning it to the next step as a logical solution. That's the reverse close in action. The buyer's hesitation isn't ignored or dismissed. It's addressed, clarified, and used to reinforce the decision to move forward. Here's the bottom line. Objections are not the end of the conversation. They're the beginning of a new one. The reverse close works because it refrains objections as opportunities. You're not pushing or defending. You're guiding the buyer to see that moving forward is the best solution to their problems. When you master this, objections won't feel like roadblocks anymore. They'll feel like stepping stones to the close. Here's my challenge to you. On your next 3 calls, I want you to use the reverse close the moment you hear an objection. Number 1, acknowledge and validate the concern. 2, flip it into a question and get the buyer talking. 3, guide them back to the value and tie it to clear next steps. Track what happens. You'll notice fewer stalls, fewer let me think about it, and a lot more buyers saying, you're right, let's move forward. Alright, let's wrap this up with a quick recap and your action plan to start closing deals faster this week. Alright, let's recap what we've covered today. In this episode, we explored 3 advanced tactics to help you close deals faster without pushing too hard or losing trust. Tactic 1, pre-frame the close. Closing doesn't start at the end, it starts at the very beginning of the process. By setting expectations early, you're guiding the buyer toward the close naturally. Remember, pre-frame at every stage, discovery calls, proposals, and before the final call, so your buyer always knows what comes next. Tactic 2, use a mutual action plan. Deals stall when there's no clear path to the finish line. A mutual action plan eliminates uncertainty by laying out the steps, owners, and deadlines. Build a plan collaboratively so your buyer feels invested, and reinforce it in writing to keep momentum strong. Simple steps, clear accountability, and mutual commitment. That's how you keep deals moving forward. Finally, tactic 3, the reverse close. Objections aren't deal breakers, they're opportunities. First, acknowledge and validate the objection to lower their guard. Second, flip the objection into a question to clarify their concern. Finally, reaffirm the value of your solution and tie it to their goals. Remember, objections aren't the end of the conversation. They're the beginning of a better one. Now it's time to put these tactics into action. Here's my challenge for you today. Number 1, pre-frame the close on your next 3 calls. Start the conversation by setting clear expectations for what happens next and reinforce it through the process. 2, for your next active deal, create a mutual action plan. Collaborate with your buyer to outline the next steps, confirm it in writing, and hold each other accountable. 3, finally, on your next objection, use the reverse close. Acknowledge the concern, flip it into a question, and guide the buyer back to the value. Track what happens. Watch how these strategies reduce hesitation, keep momentum strong, and move your deal to yes faster than ever before. Here's the bottom line. Speed doesn't mean rushing. It means leading. Deals don't close themselves, and buyers don't always know how to move forward. That's your job. When you take control of the process, set expectations, and address objections with confidence, closing becomes easy. You got the tools, now it's time to execute. Remember, sales isn't about pressure, it's about progress. Let's go out there today and start closing faster, smarter, and better than ever before.